He's your man.
All right, it is May 8th at 3 PM, and we are opening the Opioid Settlement Fund Committee meeting. The first order of business today is the reorganization of the board, as we had a former member step down. So, taking nominations for chairman?
I nominate you.
I second that.
Okay. Any objections? I don't think I can do that for myself. Is
You can ask for any other nominations.
there, are there any other nominations?
Nominate Amy Barrett as vice chair. Thought I should have asked first.
I'm sorry, I really don't know what we're doing, so that's why I'm saying no. When you said, are there really any other nominations, you mean other people running?
Nominations for
For the
chair.
chairperson to replace the chair.
So the chairperson resigned? Mm-hmm. And you're running for chair?
I
So they-
nominated Lindsay for
They both
chair.
You're running
nominated
for
me.
chair? Oh, okay. So we can start again and I can nominate you? I mean, I don't know, I thought I can, I mean, if you're running, yes, that's why I'll nominate you.
All right.
Is that okay? I just wasn't sure what you were doing, that's why I said no, I'm sorry.
No.
I probably looked like, no, I don't want you.
No.
I was,
Does
I
that-
thought you meant anybody else running. so I
Yeah,
was
does
like,
anybody else want the position?
No. Don't want a position.
Okay. All right. And here, you nominating Amy for vice chair?
Second.
Yes.
You okay with?
Are you okay with that? Mm-hmm. Any
Okay.
objections? Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, no objections. Amy Barrett will be the vice chair. Anyone willing to be secretary? Anyone interested in secretary?
Is the current secretary still interested in being the secretary?
Current secretary was still interested when I spoke to him.
Okay, then I'd like
So-
to nominate Brian Feely to remain as secretary.
Okay. And if there's an issue and he decides otherwise, we can address that in the next meeting. Okay. All right. Next thing on our agenda is the review of the application for funds. So I apologize I wasn't here at the last meeting to explain a little bit more in detail about these two documents. So they are essentially the exact same documents. One is the one that's a little bit lengthier, and it says electronic hard copy for review. The very first page is the landing page when you click on either scan into it with the QR code or click onto it with the link. Everyone will land on this same page. You'll type the name of your organization. If you're a private citizen, it will be your name. And then the way the Google form is set up, based on if you answer if you're a town department, a private group, or a private citizen, it will jump you to the next appropriate screen. So if you're a town department, you get directed to the questions for a town department. If you're a private group, to the private group questions. And then if you're a private citizen, it jumps you to the private citizen. So it's all asking relatively the same. The sections that are separate is just the contact information, and the group questions where the board members, we had talked about the mission statement. I believe that was a big difference. And then with the group, we asked if it's a private company or a registered 501c3. And as discussed in, I believe it was the March 27th, and then again on the April 10th meeting, all private companies and registered 501c3 charities will require proof of companies and nonprofits in good standing, just as a standard best practice. And that was something that we had all just had discussed at previous, so that is just listed in there. Once each section is completed, the contact information, it jumps everyone to the exact same application for opioid funds. And so relationship to opioid funding is what the individual, group, or town department applying for related to prevention, harm reduction, treatment, or recovery, the amount that they're looking to be allocated, explain what they're looking for the funds to be used, is it an annual, requiring annual ongoing support, if there's fiscal partners, the proposed timeline for completion, and then the budget, and then either typing it out or, I believe, Peter, I think it was you that had suggested making it an uploadable file so that we can see the budget, so that we're not inventing the wheel, making everyone type it out. So that's the explanation of this super long thing. I know last week, or the last meeting, it was a little bit confusing, and I apologize that I wasn't here to explain that. The paper one is essentially the exact same thing. It starts with, so page 1 is where it's highlighted on the front, or I would like to put the mission statement if everyone's okay with that. And I think the mission statement should also be on the electronic version as well.
Oh, okay.
Nora, looking at.
Okay. All right, so the mission statement, you want it here and then over?
Yeah, well, so these two applications will match each other exactly.
Okay.
So this one is just a printed version of the electronic.
The electronic one, yes.
And then I'd highlighted on the paper version about responses are confidential. We're gonna have to take that out of the electronic one after speaking with Scott. We're not in a position that would go into executive session. None of this is all stuff that would stay in open meeting. And so we're not asking for anyone's unique personal bank information during the meetings. You know, we're not gonna be talking about personal phone numbers and stuff during the meeting, and delving into that. So none of this, we can remove the confidential part of that, because we're not gonna be discussing the funding and allocations. We're not gonna be going into the nitty-gritty of personal information, just the high level of who's applying, what group, what they want it for, and the amount. And so that wouldn't require executive session. So anyway, going into this one, so it's set up the exact same way. On the front page goes in, you know, how to submit it. You can submit it electronically. It asks the name of the organization, same 3 questions. Is it town department, private group, or private citizen? The same questions, is it only if you're applying as a town department, you're gonna answer these questions, only if you're a private group, and it's the exact same questions that you find on the online application. Only if you're a private citizen, again, it's the exact same questions that we find online. And then the following questions are for every category of applicants: town department, private group, private citizen. To answer for the application to be considered complete and to be reviewed. And again, it goes into the relationship to opioid funding. And ending it with a signature of applicant. I do know, Rick, I saw from the meeting last time, a spot for goals to be added. Before I went and started working on that, I wanted to talk more about how we wanted that worded. Is that something we want to do during the application process? Is that something we want to talk about during the review process?
Yeah, I think both. I just think there needs to be something in here that says, I know we say explain what these funds will be used for, but also the answer could just be to do a naloxone clinic. Okay, let's go a little further. The goal is to train 35 high school students in how to administer Narcan. I think it's more like, all right, what is the hard metric goal that we're going to be measuring to make sure that we're,
I like it. All right, so I will change.
What page would that be on? Oh, on the paper one?
The goals, yeah, with the goals, with the four.
Okay.
So under the exact amount, so exact amount looking to be allocated, and then please explain specifically what these funds are applying for and how success will be measured? Or how do you want to word? Is that what you're set, right here?
What just ones are you applying? Reviews for, okay. That's-
please state any and all measurable goals, accomplishments, achievements.
Okay, I can, right there, also put the SMART
Yeah.
objectives.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll put that as a separate question. Do you have anything you want to add to it, Amy? Nora, do you have anything you want to add to the application or
No.
change?
I don't have anything.
I have a couple little copy edits. More than-
By all means,
Yeah.
complete rough draft.
Do we have the mission statement here anywhere?
Yeah, do you want to stay in order and then,
Yes.
oh, kind of hard. All right. I know you had a,
Just so,
if you, do you mind just coming up to the, just so we're recording?
Yep. Do I need to give my ad? Melissa Cook, 358 High Street. So any person from Abington can apply for this money?
So the goal of this is, or this is if an individual has a project that can benefit the community, they can apply. It doesn't have to be a specific group.
Like if you're not a group?
Yep, so if someone has an idea,
Okay.
and they want to submit it.
Okay.
And they want to better the community with opioid prevention somehow. They are more than willing to, or not more than willing, so, excuse me, more
Able.
than able, yes, to submit an application with a opportunity for the same review as everyone else to have their idea heard and
Okay. It just sounded like a little weird, like anybody can just apply for this money. Like, you know what I mean? Like just, we're just gonna, some random person is gonna add, like, what would like a private citizen, but that makes sense.
Well, I mean, I think that's a good question. Could, for instance, a grandparent ask for a grant to help fund transportation or
So-
some other thing relating to?
this money is not, the purpose of this fund, this committee is not to review individual funds like that. If, so I'm gonna use, because you're here, Abington Copes as an example. If Abington Copes wanted to set up a fund to help, I know grandparents came up last time.
Yep.
You could have the grandparent relief fund.
Okay.
This is very high level.
Right.
Very much an example.
Okay.
Do not quote me, this is just
Okay.
an example.
Okay.
But you could do something that as you could apply as an idea for and again, as an example, that you were gonna offer scholarships
Yeah.
or aid for families who
Yep.
needed it.
Right.
And that would be your idea. You would apply for X amount of dollars. And that was gonna be your project idea for fiscal year '24.
But I would apply for as Abington Copes.
You would apply as Abington
But
Copes.
somebody
And then,
else could.
and then an individual would apply to Abington Copes
Right.
for that relief money from you.
Yeah,
But if an individual has an idea for, a bigger community project,
yep,
they could apply for the money to do a bigger project that would benefit the community.
Eagle Scout Project, Project 351.
Yeah.
it just sounded
Plenty of
like,
opportunities then.
yeah, no, it just sounded like a little weird
So
at first.
a private citizen can apply to do a project for the greater good of Abington, not for their own personal need.
Yeah,
Correct.
like,
Should we
okay.
define that in there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that was,
Because I think
that
we'll get
sounds better.
requests from people for money to support.
Well,
Myself,
my
I just went through a
understanding
recovery
was when
program.
I did some research on this, I feel like this is also pretty important. And again, I could be misunderstanding or misinterpreting, but I believe the entire settlement thus far, half of the money was set aside specifically for personal the lawsuits, all of it. It was set aside for personal.
Assistance or.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And half of it was set up for the states to provide to the municipalities.
Right,
So-
they took 60%, the
They did,
state,
yes.
and then
And
the
so
communities
that-
are getting 40%.
Right.
Yeah.
But half of the entire amount, though,
Yep.
was set aside for something other than the states and municipalities. It was set aside for people that are going after these pharmaceuticals personally.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
I mean, that's an important, factor in the personal part of this, because there is a substantial
Yep.
amount also for that.
Right. So there is monies available through other avenues for individuals on an individual need.
Right.
This specific committee
Yep.
is for community benefit.
Right, okay,
And then how projects that will benefit the community wide and
yep. Okay, very good, thank you.
I have a question. I have a question about funeral costs. So can a parent or grandparent ask for that money if they have already paid for a funeral for their,
not through this committee.
not through this committee? I see. So where would they go?
That is, I have to look up exactly, I don't know off the top of my head. That's something we can
Yeah, that's something.
get back to and
Right,
let
okay.
residents know.
Okay,
But that's not through here. This is money that the town got for community projects, for prevention, harm reduction, treatment, and recovery efforts
so it has to be used for those.
within those. Yep.
Okay.
Nora, if you want to talk after, like, that's part of bereaved families and
Okay.
support.
Excellent.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. The next thing, discussion about private versus public status of application and the information contained within the application. So we just touched on that quickly. Again, that we will take out the confidential, if anyone, or if everyone is okay with that.
I think we can always work around keeping it confidential
Yeah.
amongst ourselves, absolutely.
And then discussion, possible vote on the wording for our mission statement. Rick, I know you had read what I kind of come up with last time. Did you have a chance to make that pretty? I have it. It didn't print well. It's the bottom one. Sorry, my printer is.
Thought we had it someplace else too.
Nope, I just came through the email that I had sent
Right.
prior to last meeting.
No, I mean, just is to nitpick one little word, but that's about it.
Okay, so we have the Abington opioid allocation Fund Committee's mission is to provide advice, recommendations, and identify spending priorities as related to opioid use disorder, prevention, harm reduction, treatment, and recovery strategies for the purpose of providing funds from the opioid settlement fund in a fair and equitable manner. Do we think we're at a point that we can vote to adopt?
Where's your change? Where?
I took out a two.
Took out a word.
Allocation, yeah. Yep.
That sounds good.
Or allocate, right?
No, I had and to identify, so and identify. Any concerns on the mission statement?
Move to adopt as is.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I will get that sent out and put online. Brian had asked to start the discussion about the needs of town departments to support opiate education, training, outreach, and support. Unfortunately, he is not here. So we can continue that until our next meeting.
I guess I'd be very interested, particularly considering who's represented here, to know, just kind of spitball, what are your needs? Like,
Yeah, so
all three departments plus, I'm sure police, but like, what are some of the needs that they could use for training? Just to give us an idea of where we're starting.
I know, so do you want to start?
I mean, optional classes and, something similar to what we have at the, not quite that extravagant at the senior center, but just an options of help, if we have classes available. But nothing specific. And then on call, I know the police was already working on a grant, to get a counselor. And that was my other concern.
Yeah.
From my
It'd be
department.
helpful to have some outreach too, with the amount of confusion with the elderly population and their medications. That'd be helpful, really helpful.
Outreach, like having someone on
Yeah,
staff who can
somebody-
help.
Yeah, somebody that was trained to do that. I know you have to be a CNA generally to help with medication, but if there was somebody that could help with outreach, to work with the families to better
Yeah.
support their seniors in the home, that would be really helpful.
Okay.
There's a lot of medication misuse because of confusion.
Right.
Yeah.
Are these funds only supposed to be used for opioid or for all substance use disorder needs?
Believe it's defined as opioid
Okay.
specifically.
I just remember an interesting note a while ago that one of the leading drug-related causes of death of, between 40 and 60 was cocaine use. And, is there any education options around that? But if that's kind of outside the scope, then that's,
Well, this is the Massachusetts abatement term, the form that was sent of the rules on the opioid abatement funds. Commonwealth and municipalities have shared commitment to using abatement funds recovered from statewide opioid settlements to supplement and strengthen resources available to Massachusetts communities and families for substance use disorder prevention, harm reduction, treatment, and recovery in a matter that maybe it's, so it's not, yeah.
So when we talk about opioid use.
Well, families
and then-
for substance.
substance use, just substance abuse.
Two separate things.
yeah, that gets into alcohol and
You can-
everything else pretty quickly.
But you can quickly
Right.
kind of translate them. And so if we're using one and or teaching about one, we can relate to another. So we will have to look closely at that and see exactly. I will reread.
Support people in treatment, opioid use disorder treatment. Those are our two factors.
Hi, I'm still Melissa. I think it is a little gray in that area, like from the meetings I've sat on. And I think it's somewhere on there, I think it says that too. But as far as prevention, like that's a whole separate thing. We're not trying to just prevent like opiates, like it's substance use. So I
Right.
think, you know, that term substance use is probably used a lot in there, and that doesn't necessarily mean opiates, but I feel like, you know, that's obviously a big part of it, so.
Right.
But I feel like it is a little gray. So that was it.
Thank you. The health department did just get our CNPP status, and we are a Narcan provider. So we do have Narcan available to the town for free. And we can offer trainings to any resident, community partner, any business that wants us to come in, any entity really that needs us. If you guys need us at any point, want us, let us know. We're happy to have it. We have it all locked up, ready to go. Super excited about that. So that's something that we can start doing as part of this committee that doesn't require upfront costs, because we are able to get the Narcan subsidized from the state, actually. So that's something that we were able to do. So, you know, one of the things that the health department can do as a goal is we can start offering, talking about needs of town departments, is we can start offering Narcan trainings, making it more widely known that we are a Narcan dispensing site, and that we have those resources for community members.
I have a question. How are we going to announce this, like make the public know about this?
So the health department has a pretty decent following on social media.
Okay.
So we will announce it. You know, we already had plans in place prior to getting our status as a CNPP partner, to announce through our social media platforms. We have a constant contact email following that we were going to announce it through word of mouth.
Okay.
And then again, partnering with Abington Copes, letting them know, letting the police know, the fire department know.
The town has their quarterly newsletter and the website,
Yep.
of course, to be advertised on.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah. I'll just start getting once the word gets out, and then, you know, they'll come in. We do a quick training if they haven't been exposed to Narcan. It's completely confidential.
Join another selectman meeting. Put it out right there.
Yes, it's a good call. Our selectmen meeting. Yes,
That's a really interesting idea.
that is a great idea.
Get all 5 of them trained.
That's actually
Yeah.
not a bad idea. It's a great idea.
I'll volunteer the board for that.
I think we just did.
All right. The next thing, discussion of wording for special town meeting warrant item. Any more thoughts?
So we need to allocate the 100,000 plus that we currently have. And then have language basically stating moving forward, any money that comes in will be dedicated to a certain fund. I mean, Scott technically is the control of that fund
Yep.
based on recommendations of this committee, as long as it exists.
So something that we can do is have Greg Corbo, we can invite Greg to come to one of our meetings, where he kind of knows the ins and outs of exactly how that needs to be worded. The town attorney.
Thank you.
And so, not necessarily the next meeting, but in the next few meetings, if we want to have him come, if we want to start writing a rough draft for maybe the next meeting, and then once we have something a little bit more finalized,
Love that idea.
have Greg come, talk to us, look it over, and see what he thinks.
Yes.
Having the town attorney
Oh, the town attorney, okay.
take a look at the warrant item that we would draft.
All right.
Always a good idea.
All right. And I apologize that I didn't have a chance to get minutes out prior to today. There are 2 sets, if we want to take a minute.
Oh, yeah.
The first are dated the 24th. But they are actually from the 10th. So those need to be redone.
Just to be nitpicker from this version, from the 10th, just put that Andrew Nocon is the town treasurer, accountant. And Melissa Cook was representing Abington Coates.
Okay.
So that when they look back at these in 10 years to give us awards, they'll know who the people were.
Andrew's not our town accountant.
This is,
Is that an unofficial title?
Oh, no, he's the accountant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lindsay.
Lindsay's the treasurer.
Yes.
I would also just go back, the vote for minutes needs to have people's names, who made the motion, and ideally, the motion, who seconded, and the vote results, the very last part of it.
Say it again, right?
So this very last one, vote to
These.
approve, it should say whoever made the motion, whoever seconded, wherever it was.
Also, on this version, it doesn't say when the, who made the motion to adjourn. and-
Yep, so just
And
saying.
the time. And on this one, my name was spelled incorrectly at the bottom. It has an S on it.
Oh, that's I apologize.
No worries, but again, it doesn't have the time either. It was adjourned. Not.
Easy fix.
2 demanding, 2 owns.
All right. So I will make all these corrections with Brian.
Are we talking about corrections on the minutes for last meeting?
Yes.
Because on the back, you said we're too demanding or too demanding, like TOO instead of TO? Too demanding and excessive for funds plan. I was confused here for a moment, but you mean too demanding.
A sentence under review applicate for funds.
Yeah.
Review application for yes. Mr. Cook stated that she felt the request at the prior meeting were too demanding, excessive for funds plan, so that would be 2 owns.
Thank you. All right, I will make those adjustments and then we will vote on them next time. our next meeting will be the 22nd at 3 p.m.
Do you need a motion for that, or is that just
We had set the schedule for
making sure?
the, what is it, the second and fourth Mondays at 3. More of a reminder. All right,
Motion to adjourn?
motion to adjourn.
Second. Just
All in favor?
No?
Aye.
Aye.
All right.
Okay.